What's up, guys? Brian Grossman here with Get Outdoors South with a quick product comparison between the Wild Country Ropeman 1 and the Kong Duck Ascenders. And again, these are ascenders. They're to be used to replace the prusik knot on your lineman's rope or on your tether. These are not meant to be a rappelling device. Don't use it for that. And with that, I will dive into some of the specs and differences and pros and cons of these two. But before I do that, for those of you who just came here, you want the bottom line, straight to the point. If you're using a larger diameter rope, like a 10 to 13 millimeter, which I use the standard, these are the tethered 11 millimeter ropes. Either one of these is going to get the job done. I really can't tell you that one is any better than the other. They're very similar in form and function. The main difference is the Kong will work on a smaller diameter rope. This will work on anything from 8 millimeter to 13 millimeter, whereas the Ropeman 1 is designed to handle ropes from 10 millimeter to 13 millimeter. So if you're going to use a smaller rope, you're going to have to go with the Kong Duck between these two. If you're using a larger diameter rope, either one of these will work. One of the primary differences, weight-wise, very little difference. I'm talking like 0.3 of an ounce difference between the two. So you're not going to notice any difference in the weight of these two. One of the main differences is these both have an aluminum alloy cam with teeth on it. So you can see the teeth right there. This is the Ropeman 1, so take a look at that. This is the Kong Duck. So you can take a look at the teeth there. One thing you'll notice right off the bat is the teeth on the Ropeman 1 are much more aggressive. And so I've heard some report, while that gives you more grip, a little more grip, I have heard some reports of those teeth damaging the ropes. I have not witnessed that personally. I think as a saddle hunter, you're not moving these up and down a lot. You're typically getting into position, moving them where they need to be, and that's where they stay for most of your hunt. You might occasionally adjust them, but there's not a lot of action there to really wear on that rope. And so I think by the time you notice any damage to your ropes from like a Ropeman 1 as a saddle hunter, it's probably going to be time to replace your ropes anyway. So I don't think that's going to be a real issue, but it is something to keep in mind. And on the flip side though, the less aggressive teeth on the Kong, I've heard some reports, and again, I have not witnessed this myself, but heard some reports that this may be more apt to slip, maybe on a smaller diameter rope that's wet or dirty or something, whatever the case may be. The less aggressive teeth might give it more of an opportunity to slip. I think either case, that's going to be very rare just because of the way these work, the spring action cam, and it's actually pulling against that cam, your rope is. I can't see very many circumstances where that thing's going to slip on you. And I'll show you how they work here in just a second. Let's do that right now. I'll start with the Ropeman 1. You can just pull the two sides apart like this. Actually, we'll do it like this so the cam pulls back. You set your rope right in there like so, and then let this side come back. And so that cam is now against your rope. And you just slide your carabiner through the hole right here and work it through like so. One thing, you have to pay attention to which way you put these on your rope because they're made for only one direction. When I pull this way, obviously it's gripping, the teeth are biting into the rope, and that's holding support. If I turned it the wrong way and hooked into it this way, it's just going to freely slide down the rope. Obviously, you don't want to do that. If this is your tether and you're hooking it into your bridge or your saddle, you don't want it to just freely slide this direction. So you got to make sure you put this thing on the right direction when you're hooking to the tree. Once you have it hooked on, again, when you're pulling this way, it's going to bite into the rope and it's not going anywhere. If you do need some slack, you can simply pull out on this little wire here. There's a rope on the Kong, there's a wire, stainless steel wire on the Ropeman, but you just pull out on that and that releases that tension and lets you slide it down. And then of course, when you're going the other direction, if I needed to tighten it up a little, you can do that with one hand and it just slides up with little effort right there. So that, again, it's simply, the prusik knot, you typically have to have two hands to operate that prusik knot. These ascenders you can usually get by with one hand as long as you have some tension on the rope. And so that's how the Ropeman works. The Kong is very similar. You pull it in half like so. Pull this one side back with the cam, and when you do that, gives you a place right here to pop your rope in like so, and then you bring this side back, snap it into place. One thing worth noting with the Kong is your typical carabiner like these that come from Tethered do not work in the Kong. I mean, they would work like this, which is really not how you want them, but they won't make that turn. The bend in them is too sharp. They won't make the turn to get them down here where you really want them. So if you're going to use the Kong, you're going to need one of the oval shaped carabiners. So that's something to keep in mind. If you already have your carabiners and you're trying to decide on the sender, you might want to go with the Ropeman if you don't want to have to replace your carabiners. But it works in the same fashion as the Ropeman. When you pull against it, it's going to grip. Those teeth are going to bite in. It's not going anywhere. But at the same time, you can grab a hold of it if you need to take some slack out and just pull that thing up. Or if you need to let some slack in it, you can pull the little string here very carefully and let it slide. And once you let off, it's going to bite back and grip. So guys, it basically boils down to rope selection and personal preference. If you're going to use one of the smaller ropes, you're going to need to go with the Kong. If you're going to use a bigger rope, either one of these is going to get the job done. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to have to replace your carabiners, or you might save a few bucks. If you already have an oval carabiner, you might save a few bucks on the Ropeman. It's typically a little bit cheaper, but there's not a huge price difference between the two as is. I initially went with the Ropeman 1. I actually only bought the Kong to be able to do this comparison and just to kind of see the differences in the two. And guys, that's it for this one. I hope you're appreciating the saddle hunting content and the product reviews. We're going to keep cranking these things out and get a lot more consistent with them. If you haven't already, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell so you'll keep up with all our latest videos. And as always, guys, hey, until next time, hunt safe, shoot straight, and most importantly, just enjoy your time out there in God's great outdoors. We'll see you on the next video.